How you guys doing? It's a novice. I just watched a movie, guys, on Netflix. The Devil All the Time is a movie starring Tom Holland, Robert Pattinson, Sebastian Stan, and a couple other unknowns. Some who I recognize, but I just don't know their names. And it's directed by someone called Antonio Campos, I believe his name was. It's basically like it's one of the stories like a Pulp Fiction, where it revolves around the lives of several people in whose lives like kind of join meet up with one another. A Pulp Fiction, those type of recounts in a from like a period of like the 50s. This movie, in a sentence, was quite depressing. Yeah, that's it. But it doesn't mean I didn't learn things, any lessons from it. That's how I define it in a sentence. Depressing, but uh, I wouldn't even know how to say it. Depressing but educational, right? I'll give an example. Tom Holland's character, he plays a guy called Arvin in this movie, and he first and foremost represents how this movie almost felt comic, like karma, how depressing your life can be, one's life can be, when in his younger years, stuff that happens to him and people around him later on, and not just that, but through his acting, like he has this tortured face, when he's thinking about something from his past that's really tragic, or something from like recent times, something that he's had to do, but you can tell he's not like there's a bitterness to it. But he doesn't seem like someone who is like I'm so sad, I don't know how I can live for myself. He just seems like someone who has just seen some things that have effed of him, for lack of a better term. But that's even reinforced. Like, shout out to Tom Holland as an actor, because as Spider Man, I do not like you, but in this in this movie, you did a good job, and I respect that. You also did a good accent, good Southern twang. Um, at least you people, I say you people, sorry, anyone watching who has like Southern relatives from the US and so on, yeah, comment down below. You think he did a good accent? Something else that reinforced that feeling of like, oh, this is a really depressing movie, but educational, was just that feeling of the corruption in this town with certain individuals, Robert Pattinson's character and Sebastian Stan's character. And I remember just watching it and thinking to myself, this is a story about people who, on the face of it, like the public persona, they're meant to be people who you feel protected with, but they have their own private persona that's something else. And it just reinforced that feeling of like, oh wow, everyone's this story is about this wretched kind of soiled people. But again, the acting of Sebastian Stan, of Robert Pattinson, it makes you believe, oh, you know what? Is it just that there's pure evil in this town? Because I didn't feel there was pure evil. But is it just that there's pure evil in this town? Or is it just that this town has somehow like not these characters, here's something I felt watching this movie, that these characters, Sebastian Stan, Robert Pattinson, they were people who people didn't give no mind to, but they should have been watching more closely, because they represent, like I said, people who I don't want to give it away, but there's certain people in the community who you're not supposed to feel like give you a creepy vibe or bad vibe or anything, but they do something else behind the scenes as an audience member that makes you feel like, oh no, these are like guys who think these things are way too normal for them. It just reminds you again that depressing feeling that whoever filmed this movie, they worked that well into this story. Another way they work through the acting performances and just that feeling of the environment in the town. But another way they did it, specifically with Robert Pattinson's character, with some other characters, a little bit of Tom Holland, was how they explored faith in this movie. And me personally, I'm not religious myself, grown up religious. But even I got upset watching this movie and thinking to myself, wow, there's a lot of people who they say they care about and they revere this idea of like a incorruptible, higher moral power. But then they do these things in this area, in these areas in this town, it's just the opposite. It's like even I'm upset. How can you justify this kind of behavior? That just came out throughout this movie. Like again, the depressed feeling. But I'm learning something that humanity is complex. That we wanna believe that we are pure people. That we deliver pureness to others around us. But we're pieces of work, and we all have to work on ourselves to make sure that we are better people and that we stand by people who are we do right by people while they're still around, while we are still around, right? There's examples in this movie, again, we can't get too specific, where the people who do horrible things or they're like really mean, to say the least, and they'll make it seem like, oh no, I'm not doing this because of so and so. I'm doing this because I'm doing this in the name of God. I'm doing this because there's just no other way. And I'm just watching it, I'm like, God damn, like this don't make no sense. How you? This is a contradiction. You believe in a incorruptible power, but you're doing corrupting shit to people. I don't know, but I felt like I learned something at the same time. Again, like I said about people, the moral grays of life. That people aren't just pure good, pure bad. And you see that this town and these surrounding towns where the lives of these characters are going on. And that was essentially my feeling on this movie. That I wasn't even planning on watching it. I liked it. Again, even though it was a negative kind of impression going away, I still feel like it was worthwhile watching it. And I definitely recommend you guys watch it too. Acting good. Like I said, storytelling I say is decent too. Good. The way they film it looks good too. Everything was up to standard in my opinion. I definitely give it a go. That's my final thoughts. Tell me what you guys think down below. If you've watched this movie, did you like it? If you haven't watched this movie, would you, based on a recommendation? Like and press that subscribe button. Other than that, signing off. Laters.